Hello, my name is Kyle Power, and this is my presentation on public and private organizations for MPA 594. In this presentation, I will compare the similarities and differences of a public fire department organization, which will be the Los Angeles County Fire Department, and a private fire department, which will be the Wildfire Defense Systems Organization. These two organizations both share a mission that incorporate structure fire protection. Graham Allison's article about public and private management researches the question, are they fundamentally alike in all unimportant respects? Public and private organizations exhibit similar managerial functions associated with Luther Gulick's theory of administrative management. However, upon further examination, public organizations are challenged by external pressures and the environment that private enterprises do not experience. Therefore, service delivery in the public sector of fire protection experiences differences in standards of oversight, complexities, and measurements of their service than in private organizations. In review of Luther Gulick's administration management, essentially management roles and responsibilities are shared between the public and private enterprise of structural fire protection. The functions of the managers in both the Los Angeles County Fire Department and Wildfire Defense Systems, public and private organizations, are shared in their efforts of management responsibilities as it pertains to POSCorp. And now we will reveal some differences of standards and oversight between the public organization and private organization of fire protection by looking at the intergovernmental relations that occur between the various levels of government for LA County Fire Department, and some of the shared regulated federalism that takes place between the two organizations as they share those standards and oversights between a private and public agency. The multiple layers of the government oversight for the LA County Fire Department represents the intermingling of oversight that impacts the local government agency. This represents an example of cooperative federalism, also known as marble cake federalism, as it shares various levels of oversight for standards through the National Fire Protection Agency, the California State Fire Marshal, and the County of Los Angeles. This division of powers is representative of the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights in Article 10, as the federal government under this amendment to the Constitution gives the states the power of some regulation. The various oversight and standards that are presented may challenge public agencies to achieve efficiency that a private enterprise would more possibly attain. Frederick Taylor's theory on scientific management was aimed at efficiencies in the private organization. This may be adopted in some facets to public organizations. However, there are many more limitations to efficiencies in a public organization, and in this example of cooperative federalism and the regulation that takes place or that impacts the public fire organization. Wilson's dichotomy and Frank Goodnow's theories on political influences in the public sector can be reviewed as there are many political factors that impact the public agencies. There are unionizations and union groups, collective bargaining, citizens, and the constituents that the public is serving, and as well as media influences that impact the public organization. Whereby in the private organization, there is less exposure to the internal workings of the organization and a kind of more focused, targeted market of people that they serve. In the public organization has a duty to act and serve anyone and everyone in the community, whereby a private organization, they seek a transactional quid pro quo, which would mean this for that exchange for services to their consumers. This was posited by Anthony Downs as a difference between the public and private organization, where the private company requires a transactional exchange for their services, where the public organization, regardless of any transactional exchange, will serve any citizen in their area of responsibility. If you now look in the middle of the Venn diagram, both public and private fire protection agencies in California reveal regulated federalism, as they both must adhere to safety and environmental oversight and standards for fire protection and employee safety. Private fire organizations have less regulated standards and oversight, as their hierarchy only has to answer to a CEO. Their organizational structure is less layered, and there's one person that they're answering to at the top of their hierarchy. Rather than the public organization and the public bureaucracy that must answer to the environment and external influences that include the constituents, the media, board of supervisors, local, state, and national regulation. Complexities that are apparent due to the challenges to obtain efficiencies for public organization and their ability of service delivery to compete with the private organizations in fire protection include wicked problems. This is a theory by Riddle and Weber, and in the example of the Woolsey fire that took place in the Los Angeles Ventura County in 2018, many public fire agencies were deployed to the impacted areas, as well as many of the more wealthy were able to employ private fire departments in their neighborhoods to protect their own personal property and homes. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West were one of these people that were able to save their homes due to their ability and financial ability to afford these services from a private fire department company that were only obligated to protect their home. The outcome of the wildfire and fire protection services that were seen were that the companies were hired on that transactional basis and solely responsible for that one person's property, and this created this kind of outcry from the citizens that were negatively impacted by the fire, for those that lost property and their homes. And those are the people that maybe relied on the public organization to protect their homes. However, they were so limited in their resources, they were unable to even reach their neighborhood and protect their property. The wicked problems that stem from this are stemming from the limitations in the public organization due to the limited resources that are available. In this example, in the large, massive wildfire, and I can speak to this as well, on a personal level, the expectation is that the entity or the agency that you are a tax-paying citizen for will be there to protect you and protect your property. But under a large emergency or large wildfire disaster, they may not be able to help everybody. They're going to only be able to do as much as they can do. And those that do have the financial means, or the richer people, will just automatically have more ability to get better protection. And the outcome of this from the Woolsey fire created this disparity of service that was revealed to the citizens that were negatively affected. They saw that those with money and financial ability were protected, where those that didn't or decided not to employ a private company suffered greatly. Even though the public agencies were able to fight and save thousands and thousands of homes, the public sentiment and outcry from the Woolsey incident revealed this problem and belief that the private organizations were more successful in their efforts to protect homes from fires. With that sentiment, that negative sentiment, an outcry towards the public agency, which was LA County Fire Department, creates some kind of pressure on the organization that in the circumstance and sentiment from the public from losing their homes, public agencies may be taken over by private organizations. The demand is going to increase for the private organizations in the area that was negatively affected, and more citizens will likely in the future hire private protection to prevent this in the future. And this is for those that can't afford the private protection, whereby this will possibly lower the demand of agency responses from the public organization and may hinder the growth of LA County Fire in the future if their services are less needed in the communities due to the fact that the negative outcry from the public was that the public agencies did not do their job and the private agency did a better job, regardless of the limitations that the public agency has. Measurements of success for public and private organizations are very different. Organizational behavior, studied by Daniel Katz and Robert Kahn, theorizes an open systems theory approach that looks at the organization as a whole rather than the fine, minute little task-oriented positions that Frederick Taylor looked at. So in contrast to Taylor, Katz and Kahn looked at the systems theory approach, where they theorized the inputs, the throughputs, and the outputs of providing a service while acknowledging feedback or negative feedback to improve their product or improve their services to their citizens or constituents, or in the private organization, that would be for their consumers. And the two vary greatly in the fact that public is exposed to many different environmental conditions, whether it's the political aspects or the media or the constituents that they are trying to serve, and they're doing the best that they can and always adapting and responding to meet the needs of the citizens that are always changing throughout time. As well as in private sector, the overall goal or the output is to make the bottom line, which is that transactional relationship with their consumer and gain that market share with their consumer. In conclusion, we asked the question from Graham Allison's article, are they fundamentally alike in all unimportant respects? And revealed that the managerial responsibilities of administrative management from Luther Gulick's theory, they are very similar. We looked into the differences of private and public organizations as how they are very different in the standards and oversight of their organizations as it pertains to the public sector and the examples of cooperative federalism and regulation, the shared regulated federalism of the shared oversight that both the private and public fire department agencies would have to adhere to, as well as the complexities that are presented with a public organization in the circumstance of fire protection versus private fire protection, with limited resources in public fire protection, and the unique service that is offered for private fire protection for those who can afford it and those that do have the resources to do that, as well as the measurements and measuring the outcomes of public service versus measuring the outcomes of private service, between the value added and the public sentiment of the Los Angeles County Fire Department after a fire or emergency response versus the transactional outcome that is achieved from a private organization. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much.